Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Tonight on Our News, a woman accused of abusing a special needs sibling is on the record tonight as an advocate for persons with disabilities speaks out. The Works Minister putting power price hike fears to rest for now. Plus, an investigation launched into fraudulent vaccine cards. The latest straight ahead. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, the woman at the center of a viral video allegedly abusing her special needs sister says she didn't hit her sister and people don't understand what abuse is. Meanwhile, Jared Higgs tells us an advocate for persons with disabilities says the video speaks for itself.
The woman seen in this video scolding her 58-year-old special needs sister and allegedly hitting her says she didn't abuse her sister. Speaking to Our News over the phone, the woman confirmed that her sister has special needs, but she denied that she hit her during the encounter that was caught on camera. She says her sister is still staying with her too. During our phone call, she said, "People is run on with all kind of thing and go on and they don't know how nothing go. They don't know how nothing go. People put down something on Facebook and they just run comment underneath it." She added, "People just don't know what is abuse. People don't know what is abuse. If I abuse her, why am I going to get her?" But the video, which has been widely shared on social media, sparked outrage with many calling for the authorities to get involved.
You know, sometimes when we view things on social media, it has a way of twisting what is the real story. But that video, that was live and in living color.
Jasmine Frazier is an advocate for persons with disabilities. She says it's clear that the woman in the video doesn't have training to deal with people with special needs.
I would have alerted the security in the parking lot, maybe somebody in one of the businesses, but I would not have felt safe that that elderly lady left that parking lot with her relative.
Frazier, who was wheelchair bound, also expressed gratitude to the person who recorded the video.
That lady is better off in a home than with an abusive relative. What happens to these cases? How long since that video has aired has this lady still stayed with her relative?
Our News reached out to police and social services authorities on Monday for word on whether any investigation is taking place. However, our inquiries have not been replied to. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Thanks, Jared. Well, a recalled Bahamas Power and Light press release has prompted a quick response from Works and Utilities Minister Alfred Sears, who revealed Cabinet has given no approval for an increase in electricity bills. Jasmine Brown explains in this report.
Sears addressed that recalled press release this morning, telling reporters that he was surprised to see it had been sent out, given the fact that the matter has not even been discussed before Cabinet.
The Cabinet has not considered increasing the cost or the rate of electricity in the Bahamas, and therefore it is premature.
Sears' comments came after BPL sent out a press release just before 5 p.m. on Monday, making a case for a hike in electricity bills. Just under an hour later, that release was recalled.
When it came to my attention as the responsible minister, I spoke with the chairman, and that statement was recalled.
And what did that conversation sound like for it to be retracted almost immediately?
Well, first of all, it would be inappropriate for me to give the details of, but I had a conversation with the chairman, and it was revoked within a matter of an hour. And I'm grateful for that.
The release indicated BPL customers will experience a rise in fuel costs of 3.2 cents per kilowatt hour beginning March 1st, 2022. It also cited a rise in global oil prices over the last 18 months, which now stands at over $100 a barrel. Sears says he was surprised by the move, but admits he spoke with the current BPL chairman about the issue last week.
The matter was raised with me by the chairman last week, and I spoke very briefly with the Prime Minister, and the Cabinet has not had an opportunity as the shareholder of BPL, also as the backstop supplier, because the hedge, which stabilizes the price of electricity, that is provided by the government, so the people of the Bahamas.
According to the Works and Utilities Minister, the Davis administration is not turning a blind eye to the high price of energy in the country. He says a cabinet subcommittee has also been set up to look into short-term and long-term fixes for energy costs. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Meantime, Prime Minister Philip Davis says his government will do its best to ensure the rise in gas prices around the world won't hit too hard here in the Bahamas. Davis, who's attending CARICOM's intersessional meeting in Belize, says the issue is top on his agenda once he returns home this week.
God knows that our people could least afford to have more taxes or more costs visited upon their backs. And my government will do all in its power to see how we could avert raising the cost of electricity on our people. And as soon as I'm back to the Bahamas, we will be sitting down to brainstorm to see how we can best do that.
Perfect.
In other news, with the Bahamas on the tail end of the fourth wave of COVID-19, Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville says he's optimistic the U.S. Centers for Disease Control will give the Bahamas a favorable rating soon.
We are very hopeful. We definitely is in that position now where we think we should be at level 3 or even at level 2.
The CDC uses travel health notices to alert travelers to health threats around the world and uses a scale ranging from level 1, low COVID cases, to level 4, very high COVID cases, to measure countries' COVID situation. In mid-January, the CDC sent a revised advisory placing the Bahamas at a level 4, warning travelers to avoid the Bahamas due to the very high level of COVID-19 in the country. It came as no surprise at the time when the Bahamas experienced record-breaking COVID-19 cases. But Dr. Darville says the situation has clearly gotten better.
The numbers reflect it, and I'm looking forward for us to move from level 4 to level 3 and to level 2 in short order.
New details emerging following reports that some Bahamians are obtaining fraudulent vaccination cards in lieu of actually getting the jab against COVID-19. Cale Campbell reports.
Word has gotten around about some printing companies and other entities producing fraudulent vaccination cards falsely representing the Bahamas. The Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Darville, has come out about this issue.
Once we pick up things like that, we need to move swiftly to let the public know that it's a violation, it's against the law, and all of those print shops that are part of this procedure or doing it need to stop immediately.
Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Darville, reveals new details about an ongoing investigation into the alleged production of fraudulent vaccination cards by some printing companies. The Vaccination Committee notified police that counterfeit vaccination cards missing certain information were appearing in their system.
I don't want to go into the details with the investigation, but we want all print companies who are producing cards, and if they are involved in this kind of activity, to stop immediately because it was referred to the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
Darville says he doesn't believe a large number of cards were produced, and some persons partaking in it may not realize it is against the law.
It was brought to my attention by the Vaccination Committee, and immediately we moved swiftly to report it to the appropriate authorities. I'd like to leave it like that because I don't want to speculate what's out there. It may be a very minor thing, or as well as it may be more complicated than we anticipate.
Dr. Darville says the Vaccination Committee's database remains unaffected and his team remains vigilant.
It did not affect our database in no particular way. But you know, if you have a card and people do not check, you can go places presenting a card, and if you do not do the necessary barcodes and to verify what the card is, you may be able to slip through the crack in an event where you're supposed to be vaccinated.
For Our News, I'm Cale Campbell.
Clear skies outside the Our News studios. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Christina. Welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this first day of March. Temperatures pretty much comfortable in mid-70s. That frontal boundary is now pushing into the central Bahamas, so skies have cleared up pretty nicely, mostly clear. The winds out of the north-northwest behind that front, 9 miles per hour, and your field strike temperature at 74. Satellite view, that frontal boundary now pushing into the central Bahamas, basically falling apart. A couple of spotty showers still associated with that. We also do have some showers along the Florida coast between Grand Bahama, Bimini, and those areas. So we could see 1 or 2 isolated showers later on tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, the Prime Minister promoting his COVID-19 position in day 1 of CARICOM's intersessional meeting. Plus, a local environmentalist warns on the threats of climate change. That's coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
The impact of COVID-19 on members of the Caribbean community highlighted in day 1 of CARICOM's intersessional meeting in Belize. Prime Minister Philip Davis promoting his position on the health crisis, saying there must be a balance between saving lives and protecting livelihoods, adding personal responsibility is the way forward. As for the tourism industry, the Prime Minister says the country's rebound is also tied to the way the ongoing health crisis is handled. He notes that while the Bahamas was turning away customers, countries such as Mexico and the Dominican Republic welcomed them.
We have to find a way to reset our position. We have to look at where we are in respect to our competitors and not lose our market share because we want to continue to have measures that makes it difficult for guests to visit our shores.
Saving the Bay's Executive Chairman Joe Darville is sounding the alarm following a United Nations report highlighting the growing threat of climate change to the Bahamas and other small island nations. He pleaded with government to do more and consult the experts. Bethany McDermott reports.
A new United Nations report highlighting growing climate change threats to the Bahamas and other island states reveals if drastic and immediate action is not taken globally to reduce the severity of climate change, small island states would bear the brunt of a host of social and economic issues that will drive migration to other regions. The report notes that for some communities that depend on coral reef systems, vulnerability may exceed adaptation limits long before 2100, even with a low greenhouse gas emissions pathway. Environmentalist Joe Darville says not enough focus is placed on environmental issues.
No government in the past 30 years have had the vision, the fortitude, the testicular, or whatever you're going to call it, actually to look specifically at how we're going to protect our environment. It's only now when it's becoming very dramatic that they are beginning to understand, well, hey, you know, we got to do this and we can do the other.
The Save the Bay's executive chairman questioned how much money has been invested into coastal protection. Last year, Prime Minister Philip Davis addressed world leaders at COP26 in Scotland. However, Darville says he wasn't pleased with the outcome of the summit.
I get a little bit disturbed when all we hear coming back from the last COP in, where was it, in Scotland, how much money we can make from carbon credits. For God's sake, you know, let's forget about the carbon credits. Let's deal with how we are contributing to carbon footprint on this planet.
The Bahamas has already seen some of the devastating impacts of climate change in recent years, including the devastation of Hurricane Dorian in 2019. Aside from the loss of life and property, the report notes that biodiversity is being impacted by stronger and more frequent tropical cyclones. So what can the Bahamas do to combat this mounting threat?
We must secure high ground for the areas where our people can find refuge in the deluge coming from Category 5 or even Category 5 plus storms. Also, we must eliminate all building along the coastal area.
He makes this plea to government.
Politicians,
Come and talk to people who got sense about the environment, who live it from day to day and know what needs to be done.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Prime Minister Philip Davis also responding to that UN report on climate change, saying talks on the issue are on CARICOM's agenda.
What the UN is saying is catching up with what I've been saying. So I'm happy to see that they recognize what we have been recognizing for quite a while. And again, that's a topic that we're going to be discussing at our next plenary sessions. Climate change and how it's impacting our country, both from a health point of view and from a point of view of the destruction to our economies.
Still to come on Our News, the PHA gets a new managing director, and Jazz Chisholm makes the day for local high school students when Our News returns.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is Our News. Welcome back. The Public Hospitals Authority today announcing the appointment of Abinette Roll to the post of Acting Managing Director. Roll has a master's certificate in healthcare leadership and is a licensed counsel and attorney. The position was previously held by Catherine Weish, who began pre-retirement leave effective February 28th after serving in the post for just over 4 years. Addressing a general staff meeting, PHA Chairman Andrew Edwards acknowledged change isn't easy.
Change is difficult without the support and buy-in of the approximately 3,000 plus dedicated employees of the PHA. Most significant in the board's decision to recommend Mrs. Roll is the various intangibles that she brings to the table. She has repeatedly been described as compassionate by many who recommended and strongly endorsed her leadership. If there was a period when the PHA needs compassionate leadership in terms of employee, patient, and public relations, this is that time.
Roll says she hopes to assist in enhancing the health of the Bahamian people. However, she admits she cannot do it alone.
So I'm not here to sugarcoat. I'm here to get it done, but I know that I cannot do it by myself. That I need each and every one of you. Every one of you bring your uniqueness to the table. And that is what we are going to maximize to make a difference.
In sports tonight, Bahamian major leaguer Jazz Chisholm paying a visit to a local high school. Meanwhile, Buddy Hield continues to play for the Pacers. Marcellus Hall has the rundown.
Thanks as always, Christina. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. The Major League Baseball season has yet to begin, of course, due to some contractual things that are going on. It has the league on hold. That means our lone Major League Baseball player, Jazz Chisholm, finds himself with some time on his hands unexpectedly. He used it today by visiting a local high school. Let's take a look. Bahamian Major League Baseball player Jazz Chisholm of the Miami Marlins in town while the Major League Baseball season on hold. Jazz paying a visit to C.C. Sweeting High School this morning, where he addressed a large group of students, talking to them about baseball and about accomplishing their goals in life. Afterwards, Jazz taking time to talk about what he's doing to stay focused as the lockout continues.
And I'm working out every day. I actually left my practice to come here, and now I'm about to head back. You know, the grind never really stops. You got to keep on working, so when they make that call and say it's time to go, you got to be ready. You at the dog days of training right now. You know, you gotta work right now, knowing that spring training is right around the corner. So you're a little bit anxious for the games to start. You're missing baseball a little bit, especially how we're a little bit delayed. So everybody's missing a little bit of baseball, a lot more right now. You know, ain't no sport really going on except the NBA, and they just had the All-Star break. So like, it really hasn't been really sports going on. So everybody's really missing baseball, and we're just ready to go.
Grand Bahama native Buddy Hield in action again last night. Indiana Pacers taking on the Orlando Magic in Orlando. And this one not going quite the way the Pacers wanted. Trying to string together 2 wins in a row, it would not happen because Orlando gets the win here, 119-103. Buddy with another solid performance on the evening. Taking a look at his stats, he finishes up with 34 minutes on the floor, 18 points, 1 rebound. He did have 6 assists during the course of the ball game, but the Pacers do take the loss. If you're wondering when their next game comes your way, well, that's just around the corner as well. Indiana will be back in action again later on this week. Indiana Pacers will be back in action against that very same Orlando Magic squad again. That game will be on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And that is your look at sports here on this Tuesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Christina.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Still to come on our news, meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center with a look ahead. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. Looks like beautiful conditions ahead this week. Greg is back with our extended forecast.
Thanks again, Christina, and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. That frontal boundary pushing into the central Bahamas, basically falling apart right now. Isolated showers and thunderstorms still associated with that. That is attached to a low-pressure system that's continuing to race quickly towards the northeast and away from us, and that frontal boundary will continue to weaken as we speak. High pressure behind that will be building across the area that will generate some very nice conditions over the next couple of days. Breezy, but temperatures will remain comfortable near the 80-degree mark for the upcoming week. Boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight. A caution flag posted for you guys out there. Your winds will be out of the northwest tonight, but becoming more northeast to east tomorrow at 15 to 20 knots. Seas 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 6:58 tonight. For the southeast Bahamas, northeasterly wind flow at 10 to 15 knots. They will fall light and variable at times. Your seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through next Tuesday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe evening, everybody. Christina?
Thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.